You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast presented by Inside Arkansas and hosted by Andrew Ellis. It is a Sunday. It is about 6 p.m. as I'm recording this. Sorry for the delay once again. Yesterday, I recorded a full 30-minute episode on mute. That's why the episode was late. Today, the episode was late because the Arkansas Razorback men's basketball team is headed to the NCAA tournament. And this baseball game that started at 1:30 wound up finishing around 5:30. And so it happened smack dab in the middle of the selection show. From a content standpoint here at Inside Arkansas, made things a little bit difficult, but shout out to the Razorback men's basketball team. We got our flights booked to Providence. We're going to see them. Very excited about that. But I'm also very excited about this Arkansas Razorback baseball series win over Ole Miss in Oxford. The Hogs take game 3 of the series 12-9. They rattle off 16 hits. Got very hairy there. Had to piece things together on the mound. Looked shaky for a while there. And I think that, coming out of this weekend, people will be happy about the series win. But already I've seen so much complaining about the pitching staff and holy cow, how is it this bad? What's going on? What's Arkansas going to do? And there's certainly a lot of questions that we need to talk about. And we will continue to do that here on the Baumbastic Podcast. There's a lot of guys that need to pitch better and certain guys that are kind of showing you what roles they should be in a little bit. We'll talk about all of that. But for today, I want to talk about this game, of course. But really, I think you just have to be thrilled with how your offense continues to compete, string together good ABs, put pressure on teams every inning. So far, I mean, it's only been 3 SEC games, but through the first month of the season, I think you guys would all agree this is a much more competitive, much more dangerous and deep lineup top to bottom. We've also been seeing guys come off the bench and make big plays for Arkansas. And there was some clutch off the bench production in this game as well. This game had a little bit of it all. Again, it was 12-9, several lead changes. Let's jump right into the play-by-play and sort of how it all went down. So, again, in the first inning, Ole Miss has come out hot in pretty much all these games. The first inning today was no different. Top of the first inning, Mason Nichols, the right-handed starter for Ole Miss, very similar to the starter they had yesterday. Good, experienced right-hander, low to mid-90s fastball. Mason Nichols was actually running that ball up 96, 97 today. His stuff was actually really good. Not a guy that has a super long leash. Not a guy that they're necessarily looking for 6-7 innings out of. He had a pretty short leash in this one, and so and it was, again, kind of like yesterday with Riley Maddox. As soon as Ole Miss let go of the lead, they took him out of there. But he started this game. Mason Nichols was cruising really through the first 2 innings. Looked like he was going to shut Arkansas down a little bit. He gets 2 strikeouts in the first inning, strikes out Davalon on an elevated fastball, strikes out Cahillo with a painted curveball, and Arkansas immediately runs into trouble in the bottom of the first with Landon Beidelshees on the bump. Beidelshees did not have the best command today. Issues a leadoff walk to Hayden Federico, had a really good at-bat. He just continues to be a guy, switch hitter, tough, gritty. Even as a freshman, you can tell he's a little bit more dangerous. He doesn't play like a freshman. Works a leadoff walk, and then Arkansas gives up a 2-run home run to Luke Hill, the Ole Miss second baseman, who also had a really good weekend at the plate, was a constant threat. This ball, frankly, got a little bit of help from the wind. Off the bat, I did not think it was getting out of the park. Really good opposite field swing from the right-hander, but did not expect that one to go out. They end up loading the bases after the home run. So you give up the 2 runs, then you get a walk, mound visit, 2-strike hit by pitch, and things seem to be kind of like similar to yesterday. You're in that danger zone where it feels like they can blow things open any minute now. Matt Hobbs comes out for a mound visit. Beidelshees ends up getting a deep fly out to close the inning. And that felt like a win to only give up 2 runs there, especially with just how rough it looked. Top of the second, Logan Maxwell it became the top of the second. Arkansas started to make some contact, but it was just right at guys. And so early on, I kind of thought this was going to be the game where Arkansas ends up losing, and we point back and say, man, they really hit a bunch of balls hard, but right at guys. Logan Maxwell started in this inning with a really good swing to left center field. I think it was caught right at the fence, right at the warning track. And so a good swing there. Brent Iredale provides Arkansas with their first hit of the game. Brent Iredale had a rough weekend at the office, if I'm being honest with you. It was not a great weekend for him in Oxford. This game actually doesn't end particularly great for him. He had a base hit early that I would equate to like when a basketball player says they need to see one go through the net so they get to the free throw line. That's kind of what Brent Iredale did in his first at-bat today in the top of the second. Just kind of pokes a 3-1 fastball through the right side against the shift just to kind of see one go through, show himself that he can get a hit there. And again, didn't necessarily lead to him turning things around, but it felt like that to me. Weirdly enough, in this top of the second inning, Brent Iredale's base hit was the softest hit ball of the inning. Kojal follows up and just squares one up, ends up going right to the right fielder. And then Diggs really barrels one up. Kendall Diggs, who got the start in right field for Arkansas today, just barrels one up right at the right fielder, kind of caught on a run. So a little bit of a tough luck inning there for Arkansas on the top of the second. And then in the bottom of the second, Landon Beidelshees appeared in the moment to find his groove. He gets a high strikeout for his first strikeout, ends up getting a call on the outer edge of the plate. It was pretty similar to the pitch Kahio Aloy struck out on in the first inning. So he gets 2 quick strikeouts, and then he gets a line drive to left field. Logan Maxwell, who's more known for his offense, makes a really nice play up against the wall in left field. And so you get 3 pretty quick outs, and you're like, okay, maybe Landon Beidelshees can get through this thing. He can battle through. We'll see. Did not turn out to be that way. But in the top of the third, Arkansas doesn't really get much going. Kind of another situation where you have a couple balls hit hard at guys. Ryder Helfrich gets rung up on a breaking ball low and away. Nolan Souza hits one right at the center fielder. I thought he swung the bat pretty well today, even though I think he finished maybe 1 for 5 or something like that. But he hit this ball to center field really well. And Davalon also hits one pretty well to left center field, but Arkansas goes 3 up, 3 down. And so it just kind of, again, early on, Arkansas's down 2-0. You just felt like it was one of those days. It's actually crazy that Arkansas ended up with 16 hits in this game because I felt like they swung it really well 1 through 9. I felt like there were about 5 or 6 hard hit balls that could have fallen anywhere, didn't get through. And so you had the 16 hits. It really could have been more like 20. But in the bottom of the third, this is where things started to, and when I say started to, really fell apart for Landon Beidelshees. First batter of the inning, Mitchell Sanford, another guy that really killed Arkansas all weekend, left-handed batter, outfielder, rips a double to the right center field gap. And then Jude Uttermark hits an opposite field home run as a right-hander. Again, kind of got it up in the right part to hit it in terms of where the wind was going. I didn't necessarily think this one was going to get out, but I thought it was hit better than the Luke Hill home run. And so that's 4 runs now on the board, both of which came via 2-run home runs. So with 1 out, Arkansas goes to Will McIntyre, who comes in and just gets an immediate fly out and then gets a strikeout. And so kind of settled things in. Will McIntyre was awesome in this game, by the way. We'll get to the rest of his outing here in a second. But in the top of the fourth, Arkansas finally gets on the board. So Logan Maxwell reaches with a 2-out single to kind of prevent, again, we're in this stretch where Arkansas is hitting the ball pretty well, but just not getting anything to fall. You get 2 quick outs in the top of the fourth inning, and then finally Logan Maxwell gets one through the right side. Brent Iredale works a walk, and then Cam Kojal just continues to hit for Arkansas. He got to start at first base in this game. He was really good. I think he had a couple of maybe 2 or 3 hits in this game as well. Just continues to get that batting average up. Really good 2-strike at bat. Fouled off a couple, ends up just kind of poking one into right center field for a base hit. That brings home Arkansas's first run of the game to kind of get them a little bit of momentum. And then you combine that with Will McIntyre pitching pretty well. This is where the game started to kind of turn. So McIntyre comes back out in the bottom of the fourth inning. I didn't go back and look at the ruling on this. I think they gave Vahiva Aloy an error on a ball that I thought Cam Kojal probably should have scooped, but that came with 2 outs in the inning. That was really it. Will McIntyre gets a strikeout and 2 ground ball outs along with the ground ball out, the ground ball that should have been an out. And so he kind of holds things down for this Ole Miss offense in the fourth inning. Arkansas had shut them down in the second inning, but really hadn't seen much of that. And then in the top of the fifth, Arkansas continues to chip away. I always love it when you score. Anytime you can get a 0 in the next half inning, I feel like it's like a double win. And then when you combine that with another run scoring inning, which Arkansas had in this top of the fifth here, Helfrich starts it with a really good at bat. They didn't give him a hit on this. He gets in the 2-strike count, works his way, fouls off a couple, hit a couple hard foul, finally ends up kind of ripping one through the left side. The shortstop gets to it, knocks it down, but doesn't really have a play at first base. They didn't give him a hit. They gave the shortstop an error. And again, I've kind of disagreed with multiple fielding decisions that they've made there at Swayze Field this weekend, but whatever. Good AB, good result for Arkansas. You move on. Back-to-back strikeouts for Souza and Davalon put you right back in 2 outs, and so you're like, all right, Arkansas just can't get anything going. But then Aloy hits a ball up the middle, ends up beating it out for an infield single, slides head first into first base, and I think he was going to be safe no matter what. I always cringe when someone slides head first into first base. I always getting a little bit nervous. Helfrich also, is an infield single, didn't quite get through. Helfrich was on second at this point. Thought he was going to have a chance to score, ends up sliding back into third base. There's a close play at first and then a close play at third. Thought Arkansas was going to get an out there somehow. Ends up being first and third with 2 outs. And then Kahio Aloy continues to be that guy. Rips a base hit through the left side, kind of right at the third baseman. Surprised they didn't slap an error on him, but I think he hit it hard enough. That makes it a 4-2 game. And then Logan Maxwell just continues to rake. Tomorrow, when I do my winners of the weekend, Logan Maxwell will certainly be on that list. He was awesome in this series for Arkansas. Another professional at bat, another professional approach on display. Goes the other way with an off-speed pitch, hits it through the left side. That's 2 back-to-back, 2 strike, 2 out singles. That makes it a 4-3 game for Arkansas. So again, you're down 4-0. You're starting to chip it away. What really helped Arkansas here is Will McIntyre continues to shove after the 2-run inning where, by the way, there was a pitching change for Ole Miss after the Helfrich single, and I think maybe after Cahillo's base hit through the left side. Finally got Mason Nichols out of there, got into that Ole Miss bullpen, which I thought was very important. Both teams got to a point in this game where they were really just struggling to get anybody to get outs. But going into this game, I felt like Arkansas had the upper hand in terms of arms left available. Now, some of those arms didn't necessarily throw well for Arkansas or throw very much, but I felt like Arkansas had more options. So I thought it was important for Arkansas, especially with Beidelshe's already out of the game, to go ahead and get Mason Nichols out of there. His pitch count was getting up after 4 innings. And so in the top of the 5th, to go ahead and make that move, I thought that was very important. And then, like I said, you have the pitchers kind of scrambling on the other side. Then they finally get you out of the inning, and Will McIntyre puts them right back in the dugout. 8 pitches, picks up 2 more strikeouts. Really, really good stuff from Will McIntyre overall today. Kind of a statement outing from the senior there. And then Arkansas finally breaks through in the top of the 6th inning. You get a leadoff walk from Cam Kojal, who doesn't normally walk a ton. And Ole Miss, by the way, had gone to a big left-handed pitcher. Hook is his name. I think it was Hook, right? Hook was his name. They went to him earlier, and so it was like important for Cam Kojal against the lefty to work a walk there. He doesn't work a ton of walks, but for him to do it there was big time. And then here's where Arkansas goes to Carson Bowles, the D2 transfer. He comes in, left-on-left matchup with Diggs. They bring the righty in, and he rips a base hit through the left side. I know a lot of people really like Carson Bowles, and he continues to hit. I mean, I think he's now like 5 for 11 or 5 for 12 on the year, something like that, but in a very small sample size, has really thrived anytime he's gotten a chance. And so I'm sure that will certainly earn him a starter or 2 down the road, and we'll see if Arkansas can get him in here with 2 midweek games coming up this week. Would definitely love to see him get some action. He comes through, and so you have first and second, nobody out. Helfrich strikes out, kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit. But then I thought maybe the most important swing to this point in the game, Nolan Souza, again, in a left-on-left matchup. I thought Arkansas might pinch hit with Pepe here, and thank God they didn't, because they wound up really needing Pepe, who wound up finishing this game in left field. We haven't seen him play outfield a ton. I thought they were going to pinch hit for Souza there, left on left matchup. They end up letting Souza stay in. He gets a slider over the heart of the plate, hits it off the wall in right field. The runners kind of had to hold up. That brings home 1, ties the game at 4-4, but also leaves Arkansas with runners at second and third, nobody out. And then this is when Ole Miss goes to one of their top remaining bullpen arms, Braden Jones, the right-hander who had not allowed a run on the year. He comes into the game with 1 out, runners on second and third. Charles Davalon does a good job just kind of shortening up with 2 strikes, putting the ball in play, hits a ground ball to the second baseman. That brings home a run, makes it 5-4, gives Arkansas their first lead. And then Vahiva Aloy, this was one of the biggest swings of the game. Vahiva Aloy had another massive swing after this. But Nate Thompson calls a little offensive conference, a little offensive timeout, sort of disrupting the pitcher's timing. I don't know what he said to him necessarily. First pitch of the AB, Vahiva Aloy gets a slider, hits it over 400 feet to left field. I think it was 111 miles an hour off the bat. Absolutely crushed. Did not miss it one bit. That kind of breaks things open, makes it a 7-4 game. Ole Miss would not go away from there. Strap in, boys. We still got a lot of this play-by-play left to get through. So that was in the top of the 6th. Arkansas takes the lead. 4 runs there in the top of the 6th. You go up 7-4. You're feeling good. And again, I feel like Arkansas's got options here on the mound. First pitch to the bottom of the 6th inning, Ole Miss responds with a home run. Will Furness, the legendary, I guess he's like the nephew of Eddie Furness, hits a home run on a cutter from Will McIntyre. Justin Thomas, by the way, could not have hit the center field wall harder. Like, was running full speed. He had no idea the wall was anywhere near him. Hits it full speed, trying to track that ball down. He ended up coming out of the game about an inning later. I don't know if it was necessarily due to injury. Would not be surprised if Justin Thomas was in concussion protocol. He got hit like Ed Reed over the middle, dude. It was crazy. But anyways, that makes it a 7-5 game. And so Will McIntyre, who had been really good for Arkansas, again, really giving them a chance to settle into the game. At this point, he's in line for the win, gives up a solo home run and then gets, I think, one more out, maybe two more outs actually, ends up giving up a base hit to left center field. And again, Justin Thomas, who may or may not have just acquired a concussion, kind of comes up slow. Like, I don't think he really thought the runner was going to get to second base or even threaten to. Guy ends up stretching it out to a double with 2 outs, which is a little bit disappointing. And it also ended Will McIntyre's day. Arkansas goes to Christian Fouch with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Remember, Christian Fouch started the season as the closer, moved to the 8th inning role yesterday. I figured the game plan today was to get to the 8th inning, have Fouch, then 9th inning, have Wiggins. They end up going to Fouch with 2 outs in the 6th inning. So a little bit earlier than maybe I forecast or maybe they thought or had planned. And Fouch, in typical Fouch fashion, made it a little bit hairy, but ultimately got the job done. He ends up walking Federico on about 5 pitches and then hits Luke Hill with a pitch to load the bases. Very dramatic. They acted like Luke Hill was going to like come out of the game. To be fair, he was hit with 99, but there was a long break there. Finally, you end up getting a 3-2 count. Looked like he was maybe going to walk in a run. Something crazy was going to happen. Ends up getting a ground ball out to Souza. Wound up being the only out Fouch recorded. He faced 3 hitters, got one of them out, stranded the bases loaded. Ultimately, like, you'll live with it. At this point, Arkansas has still got a 7-5 lead. Felt like they were kind of hanging on for dear life. Whatever, gets the job done. And then Arkansas continues to get right back to it at the plate. No matter what Ole Miss did, Arkansas always responded with good ABs, especially down the stretch there in this game. And again, by this point, they're going to some of their top bullpen arms. Ole Miss ends up bringing their closer, Connor Spencer, back, who pitched, I think, like, maybe 10 or 12 pitches on Friday. So they probably expected to bring him back, but they brought him back in like the 7th inning to where it was like they were going to ask him to close out a game after already pitching on Friday. It was getting pretty hairy. So as hairy as it was for Arkansas as trying to find anybody who can get outs for you down the stretch, it was equally as hairy for Ole Miss on the other side. That's how Arkansas ends up with 12 runs here. But again, so it's 7-5 going into this top of the 7th inning. Logan Maxwell, first pitch of the inning, rips a double to right center field. Big time stuff. Just kind of continues to shift. I mean, after the double play, getting out of a bases loaded jam, getting the ground ball out, kind of felt like a momentum shift. Logan Maxwell rips a double to right. Now you're really feeling like Arkansas's got the momentum there. Iredale ends up grounding out, and then Cam Kojal just keeps on hitting, rips a base hit to right field, ends up being an RBI knock. Rocco Pepe ended up going the other way for an opposite field single. He came in and pinch hit for Justin Thomas, who, again, ran into the wall in center field, may or may not be in concussion protocol. And then Helfrich ends up popping out, and Souza hits a ball pretty well to left field for a line out. So good at-bats. Arkansas adds a run. Anytime you give up a run, you want to answer. Arkansas did that in the top of the 7th. Now the bottom of the 7th, this is where things really, really started to get hairy. Arkansas goes to Colin Fisher, who has only given up like 1 run in 11 or 12 innings at this point. Been serving as the midweek starter for Arkansas, and he made a nice start on Tuesday. Has been lights out. I mean, has been a guy that bona fide circle of trust, no real issues. We all love Colin Fisher. He throws a ton of strikes. We expect him to be really good. I had no issue with them going into this, them going to him in this situation. Thought it was a nice chance for him to kind of establish himself as a guy. Did not turn out that way. He ends up only getting 2 outs. First pitch of the inning, left on left to match up. Guy rips a home run to right field. So right off the bat, you just kind of scratched and clawed to get that 1 run back. You're right back into it. It's 8-6. Then you get a bloop single. Then you get a walk. And then Ole Miss decides to bunt for some reason, which, look, I know everybody loves small ball, and I know I'm kind of the anti-small ball guy. You're down by 2 in the 7th inning, and you got runners on first and second. I don't know if giving up an out there is necessarily the best move. Now, understand, you want to get both those runs home. You move them into scoring position. Now they're both in scoring position, and both runs wound up scoring. I just don't know if giving up an out to Arkansas was the best move for Ole Miss there, because I felt like it really limited their potential for a big inning there. But anyways, you have second and third, one out now after the bunt. You get a base hit through the left side of the infield. The runner at second kind of had to hold up because Brent Iredale almost got to this ball. And obviously, if Brent Iredale gets to the ball, he's just going to tag the runner. So the runner kind of had to hold up. So it only scores one. And so you end up with runners on first and third with one out here in what is now an 8-7 game. You end up getting a fielder's choice to the first baseman. That ties the game at 8. And this is where Dylan Carter comes into the game. I think he may have even, I think Fisher may have even issued another walk or something like that. I think he did. And so, again, just didn't go Fisher's way today. Didn't have his best stuff. Reminded me a little bit of his outing against Auburn last year, where things kind of blew up on him. Arkansas ended up losing a Sunday game to Auburn there. So a little bit disappointing, but Arkansas turns to Dylan Carter, who, again, pitched on Friday and threw okay. Didn't get a ton of help from Tate McGuire, so he gave up 2 runs on Friday. Dylan Carter was only needed for 1 pitch. He comes in with the bases loaded, throws 1 pitch, gets a ground ball to third base, easy fielder's choice to second base, kind of limits the damage, gets Arkansas out of a jam. So disappointing. You give up 3 runs. It's now 8-8. And Arkansas is now at the point where we're all counting the outs and we're like, what the hell are they going to do? So again, at this point, they've already used Fouch for 1 out. They've used Dylan Carter for 1 out. They've used Colin Fisher. You got a really good outing from Will McIntyre. You're kind of running out of options. And again, at this point, Carson Wiggins, who is Arkansas's closer, the guy they won on the mound at the end of the game, which he ultimately ends up taking the mound, he's only thrown 5 collegiate innings to this point and had never gone more than an inning, had never thrown more than 20 pitches in a college game. So I was like, are they really going to ask him to get 6 outs? Ultimately, they did. And he wound up getting the job done. But again, at this point, I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, this is starting to, what I thought was an advantage for Arkansas in the pitching department, starting to turn the other way. I did not like the vibes I was getting. And then Arkansas is top of the 8th inning. If you want to talk about bad vibes, this is where it really, again, I've said it a few times now on the show that like, it felt like it was going to be one of those just you hit a bunch of balls hard, but it's not your day type of thing. During this top of the 8th inning, I really thought it was not Arkansas's day. So Charles Davalon starts off the inning with a really good piece of hitting, hits a ground ball up the middle for a base hit. To start things off, Vahiva Aloy gets walked. And Charles Davalon also stole a base, by the way. So there was first base open at this point. Vahiva Aloy with a really good veteran at-bat. He was fired up after this. Works a walk. So you got first and second, nobody out. And again, every half inning is featuring runs at this point. So at this point, Ole Miss is starting to run on fumes a little bit. Kahio Aloy ends up grounding into a fielder's choice up the middle, which led to multiple reviews. One, to see if Vahiva Aloy slid into the fielder at second base. He did not. And then a subsequent review from Arkansas to see if the guy missed second base whenever he stepped on it. He did not. So we had like 10 minutes of reviews. This is also right as Arkansas's selection show was really starting to kick off for the NCAA tournament. So tensions were high. It winds up being first and third with 1 out for Arkansas and Logan Maxwell at the plate. They end up intentionally walking Logan Maxwell, which again, I think is notable. And it turned out to be the right decision, no doubt about it. Logan Maxwell was awesome all weekend. He was killing them all game in all 3 of these games. And Brent Iredale was on deck. He had been struggling in the moment. I was like, wow, that's kind of a ballsy decision, especially because, first and third, 1 out, you can still turn a double play there. I thought Logan Maxwell might have been the kind of maybe the guy you want up. They walk him intentionally, go to Brent Iredale, who ends up hitting a ground ball to second base. He could not have rolled this ball up the middle more tailor-made for a double play. Like, in pregame warmups when they're hitting the ball around and the coach has the fungo and he's just kind of serving them up and like the balls are bouncing perfectly. This was as tailor-made a double play as tailor-made double plays get. Unbelievable. Kind of really takes the wind out of Arkansas' sails here. It's now 8-8 going to the bottom of the 8th, and Arkansas brings in Carson Wiggins, who, by the way, his final line, we'll bring up the stat sheet here in a second, ends up giving up a run in this outing. So his final line that wasn't necessarily beautiful, gives up 1 run in 2 innings of work. He got screwed here. Like he definitely got screwed here. So one, he starts off 3-pitch strikeout of their outfielder, Ryan Mormon, who's really good. Just kind of blows stuff by him, ends up walking Mitchell Sanford on 5 pitches. No big deal. Gets a fly ball out to center field. And then Will Furness, the lefty, goes against the shift a little bit, kind of just pokes a base hit through the left side, just kind of hits it through the 6-hole where nobody was there. The ball wasn't hit super hard at all, like really not at all. Rocco Pepe's coming in left field. I think the runner at first, maybe he was off with the pitch. I don't know. Somehow scores from first on a single to left field. I don't know how that happens. Rocco Pepe, again, it was similar to the Justin Thomas play earlier. I don't think Rocco Pepe in his brain, when he's coming in to field the ball, was like, hey, this guy's going to try and score. And so he comes up throwing and ends up just kind of, short arming it a little bit. It ends up hopping 3 or 4 times to Helfrich. Again, I don't think he was necessarily thinking, hey, it's do or die. I got to come in and make a strong throw. But we got to have a better throw there. I mean, I know Rocco Pepe's not going to be an everyday outfielder for Arkansas. You got to have a better throw there. You cannot have a 3-hopper to the catcher when the go-ahead run is trying to score. You just cannot have a 3-hopper get to the catcher, but that's what happens. And so Carson Wiggins gives up a run. I just think that's a tough earned run to give up there without an error. Ends up getting a pop out to get out of the inning. So now Arkansas is going to the top of the 9th, down 1. They are down to their final 3 outs now after all this chaos. And let's just reach on through here. First pitch of the inning, Cam Kojal hits a little squibber opposite field to the shortstop. Had a little funny English on it. Ends up working out. Ends up being a fielding error by the shortstop. Just a straight up error in this one. I think Ole Miss committed 2 errors. This is one of their 2. And after that, Rocco Pepe singles to right field. Another opposite field swing. Good piece of hitting. So 2 pitches. Arkansas's got runners on first and second. By the way, I forgot to mention with the Rocco Pepe one. It's a little misleading, me saying he just hit a base hit to right field. The right fielder didn't get charged with an error on this play, completely misplays it. Starts like running back towards the fence, and it ends up blooping in shallow right center field. And so what probably should have been 2 outs ends up being runners on first and second with nobody out. But that's kind of the game we play here in the SEC. You can't give good offenses multiple chances to beat you. Ole Miss gave Arkansas some chances, and Arkansas beat them. So you get runners on first and second, nobody out. Ryder Helfrich ends up bunting here because, I mean, again, Arkansas needs a run, and they have their 8-hole, their catcher, who has not been swinging it well. They have him up to bunt. The bunt ends up coming towards his face, so he has like a defensive bunt that goes right back to the pitcher, who throws to third base, gets the force out there, and then tries to double off Ryder Helfrich at first. Throw kind of pulls the first baseman off, and there was like a little bit of a collision there. They ended up kind of talking about it for a while. I think Ryder did what he was supposed to do and ran to the right because he got the double base thing going on at first base. I think he ran to the right side of the bag there. Ends up being runners on first and second, 1 out. So basically a useless bunt attempt. And then Nolan Souza comes up, strikes out swinging at a high fastball. And so here you're really feeling like, man, Arkansas has kind of done it again. That's kind of how these last few innings have been playing out. They're not able to get that big hit, so to speak. And then Charles Davalon gives them new life, smokes a base hit through the right side, an actual base hit. Good piece of hitting. He was kind of just due. Finally, in his last couple at-bats, comes through with 2 huge hits for Arkansas, one that extends the game a little bit. And so you're feeling good. Arkansas's got new life. And then Vahiva Aloy in an 0-1 count goes opposite field, had a 2-run home run earlier in the game, hits a 3-run home run into the bullpen in right. That is his 9th home run of the year, which now overtakes his brother for the team lead. He is now in sole possession of the Arkansas home run lead at 9. Kahio Aloy sitting there with 8. Bern Iredale with 7. I'm sure this is going to be a battle that we are going to continue to see shape up over the course of the next several months. Kahio Aloy follows with a strikeout, but Arkansas carries a 12-9 lead into the bottom of the 9th. Got a little bit hairy. The tying run did come to the plate. You get a quick strikeout from Carson Wiggins, and you get a fly out to left. Then he issues a 4-pitch walk. And then issues a 5-pitch walk. And so at this point, pitch count's getting up there, up around 30 pitches. You're kind of like, all right, does he have enough left in the tank? Then he comes back and just throws some beautiful sliders. His breaking ball, Carson Wiggins, was working today. I thought it was a really productive outing for him, and it was just good for him to get that experience. But he ends up getting Ryan Moorman to strike out swinging on a slider in the dirt. Just really good stuff. Really good stuff to see. And so Arkansas wins 12-9. Here's the box score, which is, man, it's a loaded box score. You see 16 hits there, 12 runs. You had the 2 home runs, both by Vahiva Aloy, a couple doubles mixed in there. Arkansas only struck out 9 times in this game, which 9 is not a small number, but they had struck out 27 times in the first 2 games. So I guess this is an improvement here. Not a great start from Baumbastic. I mean, that's once again, Root gives you 3. Gackle's able to battle through 4 innings for you. You really needed more than 2 1/3 in this game from Landon Baumbastic, but he's not able to get it done. And Arkansas had arms available. I mean, he threw 59 pitches. There was a reason they had the very short leash. Another thing I want to mention, by the way, before we get back to the box score. So I looked up the numbers because I noticed Ole Miss just hits Arkansas's lefties a lot better than they do the righties. That was kind of the case in game 1. They made quick work of Zach Root, and then they struggled with Ben Bybee, Dylan Carter, and Tate McGuire, which, the game was kind of out of hand at that point. And then Gabe Gackle, you only have 1 hit against him. You get 1 run off of Parker Coyle, who hadn't allowed a run all year. So another run comes against a lefty. And then Aiden Jimenez just carves him up for 3 innings. So the righties really had been working a lot better. Coming into this game today, Ole Miss hit .316 against left-handed pitching and only .266 against right-handed pitching, which I believe was the lowest batting average in the SEC against right-handed pitching. So, and I'm sure this weekend kind of altered those stats a little bit. But when I pull up these numbers here, that's the thing that jumps out to me. You have your 2 lefties combined for 7 earned runs in this game. Your righties actually held up pretty well. I mean, especially McIntyre. McIntyre and Wiggins give up the runs. Those guys were really good for you. They give you a combined 5.1, strike out 8, and give up a run here and there. But really, your righties did a good job against this Ole Miss lineup. And so maybe it's just a matchup thing. And so when we talk about this Razorback pitching staff, big picture, they're going to need all these guys to give them productive outings at one point or another. Like Fouch, who only got 1 out for them this weekend, they're going to continue to need him. They're going to need him in these high leverage situations. Colin Fisher is going to be an interesting one because he's a guy that might have that starting potential. Who knows what his role is going to end up being down the stretch. I kind of would like to use him as a high leverage left-handed arm. Today was not necessarily the best audition to do so. Will McIntyre, people have been trying to write this dude off for years. There's a reason Arkansas keeps landing on Will McIntyre, why they keep going to him to get these big outs here against these SEC teams. He's been there before. He's battle tested. He fills up the zone. He was really good today, man. I thought this was a good outing for him to kind of solidify his spot there in that circle of trust. But big picture, just not a great weekend for Arkansas on the mound. But even saying that, I just detailed the starting pitchers and how they really didn't give them much. I mean, what was it combined? So you go 6 1/3 combined between Baumbastic and Gackle. You get 9 innings out of your starting pitching in a 27-inning weekend. And Arkansas somehow was able to piece it together. I said going into the game that Arkansas had more options of who to throw in this pivotal game 3 than Ole Miss. And I feel like that wound up being true. Even the options that really didn't do it for Arkansas, they were able to turn right to someone else who could get the job done. Like Colin Fisher doesn't have it. You turn to Dylan Carter. He gets the job done. Landon Baumbastic doesn't have it. You turn to Will McIntyre. He gets the job done. Will McIntyre, he's starting to run out of gas. You turn to Christian Fouch. He gets the job done. And then Carson Wiggins continues to evolve as a freshman. I'm very encouraged by his outing. Weirdly enough, I came away from this. Obviously, I still think Arkansas has some questions to answer on the mound. I'm not disputing that. But I was actually impressed by some of the guys who were kind of forced into action that maybe they weren't prepared for, and they came through. I mean, Carson Wiggins, like I was saying, only thrown 5 career innings, had never gone further than an inning. How about your first SEC game? Hey, we need you to get 6 outs here. By the way, it's a shootout of a game where runs are being scored every inning. Just go ahead and do your job out there, freshman. And he gets it done. It's sink or swim time, and we've seen some of these guys swim. And so some of the usual suspects that we expect to be good for Arkansas were not good this weekend. I mean, did anybody have concerns coming into the weekend about Zach Root or Colin Fisher? No. But both of those guys really struggled in this matchup. Did anybody come into this weekend with supreme confidence in Will McIntyre or Aiden Jimenez? Probably not. But now you view them a little bit differently. And so I think the names are going to change. You're going to see different guys struggle, different guys kind of step up and carry that load. But what I think is going to set this Arkansas team apart is they've got a ton of options. And so there's still some things they need to figure out, no doubt about it. You got to get better production from your starting pitchers. And we'll see what Gage Wood's role ends up being if he just moves right into that rotation. Certainly not a ton of spots locked down in stone there in that starting rotation. But I think you got to get some of your starting pitchers to step up. But overall, I feel pretty confident about the depth of the group, that at the end of the day, they're going to find the right guys to get outs. And with this offense, man, you're never out of a game. You've always got a chance. really impressive weekend at the plate for the Arkansas lineup. We'll dive into more of the numbers tomorrow as we kind of react and dissect all the action that's going on. But I mean, you score 6 runs in game 1. You scored 12 yesterday. You scored 12 today. What is that? 30 runs in 3 games? Are you kidding me? That's awesome stuff. I mean, over 30 hits the last 2 days. Just really impressive bounce back by this Arkansas lineup. And by the way, as much as I'm talking about Arkansas's pitching situation, Ole Miss is a team that I don't know if this is not like the best pitching staff in the SEC or anything like that, but you had 3 senior starters. I mean, technically Hunter Elliott's a redshirt junior, but effectively 3 veteran senior starters. Arkansas worked all 3 of those guys pretty well, got into the bullpen fairly early in the game. I felt like Ole Miss's bullpen was kind of one of their strengths of the team coming into this weekend. Arkansas faced all of their best arms, and they hit off of all of their best arms. I thought Arkansas did a good job, no matter who was up on the mound, fighting, stringing together good at-bats. Just really encouraging stuff all around, man. So Arkansas gets a very chaotic series victory, a very chaotic bounce-back win in Game 3. They had to come from behind in every single game this weekend. Ultimately, guys, like these are the kind of weekends that make you a better baseball team. These are the kind of weekends that prepare you for life down the stretch in the postseason. And we've seen Arkansas in these kind of battles a lot. I think you guys can agree, like offensively, at least, it just feels a little bit different with this group. I feel like it's a completely different dynamic. And I saw some people today in the Discord chat were like, man, I wish Hagen Smith could have had this offense. I wish our past pitching staffs could have had this offense. And I agree wholeheartedly. But I would not close the door on this Arkansas pitching staff just yet. Of course, they've got maybe the best pitching coach in the country in Matt Hobbs running that show. You've also got a lot of really talented arms. And we saw some guys step up today. We've kind of seen guys step up in each of these last couple games. Aiden Jimenez yesterday, really encouraging stuff. Parker Coyle continues to be good. Like there's glimmers of hope in the mix of all this craziness with this Arkansas pitching staff. Don't be surprised if in the next couple weekends we start to see a turnaround and Arkansas starts really holding some teams down. So again, productive weekend. It's really hard to complain about a road series win, especially one that you had to really dig deep for. I mean, especially with the way that game 1 went. I think there was a lot of shaky confidence there, but Arkansas gets it done. They live to fight another day. They're 2-1. Look forward to seeing this team at home against South Carolina, who had a rubber match with Oklahoma going into today. I don't know what happened in that game, but we shall see. But appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys for tapping into the Baumbastic Podcast. We'll continue to keep it rolling on this channel, and the action is not slowing down anytime soon. I know we got NCAA tournament for basketball coming up, and we'll all be kind of, going back and forth with our attention, but stay tapped in with this channel, stay tapped in on the journey, because I think it's going to be a story that we're going to have fun watching play out. And so again, appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys for tapping in all weekend. Sorry we couldn't do a live chat edition. The timing didn't work out in our favor today, but we had over 1,000 people watching our selection show stream. So that was really awesome to see. And so it's an exciting time of year, and Arkansas's got 5 home games coming up this week, and we will have the coverage for all of them here on the Baumbastic Podcast. Appreciate you guys as always. It's been another brilliant edition. Let's have a great Sunday night, everyone.